Well, Tony Gosling, if we were to take this at face value with a 68% abstention rate, let's just say that the pandemic had nothing to do with the people in terms of the voting that took place. What does that say about the state of affairs in France in general, and in particular, obviously, in terms of how Macron has fared with voters, if at all, that is reflective of that?
Well, the Macron era has been incredibly politicising of the French people. We've seen the things like the yellow vest movements appearing on the streets. It's been very controversial, and the French are, they tend to get involved in politics. So, this result here with a low turnout is very worrying. What it tells me is that they don't feel there's a point in voting. They don't feel there's much difference between these various parties. I would be interesting to see what would happen in France if you gave them a Frexit vote like we had a Brexit vote, because we found the polling figures, the number of people who are interested in going to the polls, going down and down ever since the 1990s, the John Major era. Every election, less people voting here. When it came to 2016 and the Brexit referendum, a record number of people actually came out to vote. So I think this is always a part of it. If you're not asking the most important question in the poll, which is, do you want to be ruled by Brussels or Paris, then people are starting to feel, well, there's no real point in voting. Also, I don't think Macron really cares. He's one of those politicians who isn't really fighting for the long term. He's fighting for the short term. Remember, of course, he's a former banker, and with connections with the Rothschilds and the Goldman Sachs, and he's one of those people, I believe, who was funded specifically by the financial elite to take power, to come across with a very good PR spin, and that's what he did. But he doesn't, I don't think, really have the long-term interests in France in heart, and that's one of the reasons, again, why the French haven't been coming out to vote, because they're becoming more and more disillusioned with politics. But look, when I was studying Montenegro, of all places, you could see what the real driver of these elections is, and the winners and losers depend on the media, because in one of the Montenegro elections, they had a massive scandal literally on the day of the elections, and this swings the vote. So you can see the media have a big role to play if they're not being fair and balanced, reflecting people's opinions in the country, and rather they're being pushed by the political parties, by financial interests, maybe to scapegoat people, to smear individuals, to smear parties, and that sort of thing. So that's another reason, I think, why we get the sort of results we do nowadays in the West, because the media is really controlled by the financial oligarchy, which Macron is a part of.